everybody. This is Sijara Eubanks, and this is my co-host,
Yasmin. What's up, y'all?
And welcome to Queers and Qualms. We're here with episode 3.
Wow.
And we're rolling, guys.
We are, aren't we?
We're getting right along here. And I'm happy to say that with a couple of episodes in, we've already got a lot of listener feedback. It's one of the things that we want from our listeners and our readers.
We got some questions that we're going to be answering today from our audience. So please keep asking questions, definitely.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and DM us with all your queers and qualms and any questions, qualms, quips that you have about your life or relationships or anything else. Let us know because we'd love to talk about it. But we got a lot of relationships this week, Yasmin. We got a lot of
people wanting to hear about our relationships and just maybe some quote unquote relationship advice. Mind you, we are no relationship experts or marriage counselors, but we definitely have a place to talk about our relationships in our lives. So, and definitely a lot of questions about relationships, so we're going to be addressing some of those too.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And so it got the whole conversation going about okay, what's a relationship? Because I mean, especially nowadays, what is a relationship? It seems like, is anyone in one?
Yeah.
It's either people are in a relationship and married, or everyone's seeing each other.
Yeah. There's this whole new wave of sneaky link and this and that and the other, and we're gonna kind of unpack that, because I feel like back in the day it was you courted someone.
Right.
When you wanted to date, you went and you said hi, and you kind of presented yourself, and you said, this is what I'm serious about dating you, and let's go on dates, and let's there was no talking stage.
Yeah, you had to go see each other at a physical location.
Yeah,
and then and I'm down for the the new wave and everything, but too there's also for me, I felt a period of actually getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Before also taking it home too.
Right.
I mean, I'm quick to
Yeah.
I'm down for however quick you want to get with someone, but I feel there's I'm down for it all. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
So now you can just swipe left, and the first thing you see, you swipe left, and you're like, oh yeah, we'll link up, and then I feel like everything is so quick nowadays. People are looking for instant gratification and instant connections with people, and so I feel the kind of dating culture has definitely kind of
shifted.
It's shifted a whole lot for sure.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of non-traditional relationships now, not typical male female, you date, you get married, you have a baby, you start a family. I feel our age, as in millennials and Gen Z, have kind of we do many things, have dismantled the stuff that we don't like. The shit that we're that's old school. I feel I really love the millennial and Gen Z relation, the generations for just taking what we like and throwing away all the shit that we don't. We're definitely the generation to be nah. Yeah, we're not fucking with that.
Yeah. And not even just male, female, but heteronormative.
Yes.
I feel I'll say forever, I'm kind of proudly an older millennial. So I've got kind of older norms. And so even in relationships, I'm used to, even though I'm in a lesbian relationship, used to being in heteronormative style relationships. So even those trends are being bucked now. And
Definitely.
it's fun to see, especially queers of all ages.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into chivalry and what that looks like in this day and age with texting and FaceTime, and do you ever miss your partner because you're always in contact with them, and kind of just getting into how dating has shifted from maybe when you were younger, and me being you're an older millennial and I'm an older Gen Z. I'm right on the cusp between millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah.
And kind of how that has affected our relationships and how we view some shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into it. Shit. What's the first thing we're talking about? Monogamy. I think we should just start with some of the types of relationships that you see, and I think the most popular one would probably be monogamy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think society kind of what's normal is you meet someone, you marry them, you're loyal to them for the rest of your life. You start a family, and what's the qualm in that? Like,
is it real? It's the first qualm,
right? Like, are people even really built for monogamy? Like, what is?
I don't think so. So biologically, I don't think people are. I think monogamy is sort of a side effect of civilization.
It's consciousness, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's a side effect of society.
Jealousy.
Yeah, and the other things that humans have developed by being the superior species. But I think, like, at our core, like, no. Our biology is to procreate with whoever the fuck we can procreate with.
And when you think about it, like when people have studied like monkeys or chimpanzees or gorillas, like what we're supposed to be like primates or like our most the animal that we're closely related to. You know, the whole purpose in mammals is to reproduce. The whole purpose in life, like with all animals are on this planet to reproduce. And you see it in male species. They go and they plant their seed in whatever they can. And it's
but you see it in female species too.
Yeah.
Because if you look at most mammals, they got more than one baby father. And that's, it's true. A female mammal, if we're talking about literal animals like lions and like leopards and shit.
Yeah.
They're gonna produce with the most capable male at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
but I also
I
feel
think
like
a lot
I've watched Serengeti.
Very good series, by the way.
And I feel like
love Serengeti.
The lions, they were looking down on the chicks for having babies outside of their little pride or whatever.
They were actually. And she had to go get her man. Actually, if you have not seen Serengeti, no spoilers. Spoiler alert. It's actually really good.
I really love it.
I really enjoyed Serengeti. But yeah, I look at stuff like that and I'm like, okay, are people really truly at the core monogamous? I don't really think so, but I think we have the luxury of being monogamous because we're not actual mammals hunting for food anymore.
Right.
Like, we have the room to be
consciousness. Yeah.
And on top of that, because then sometimes my own theory backfires because I'm like, how could I be a lesbian if my whole job is to procreate? Boom! I was like, wait.
I'm stressed. So is being a lesbian a choice?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Blew my own mind.
Because I really do think that monogamy is a choice. Yes. I feel like when you are in a relationship with someone, you are choosing to be exclusive with that person. You're choosing monogamy to be. And for those who don't know what monogamy means, I don't think we explained that. Monogamy is when you are in a relationship with someone and you are exclusively dating them. You're only engaging in intimacy with this one person. So that's a lot of times is what leads to marriage and building families. But that's not always the case. And we've seen that in these later generations of people dismantling monogamy and just like other ways of living. And we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So, yeah,
polygamy. So monogamy leads into polygamy and thruples, which is kind of like where, I think ideally in a perfect world, lots of air quotes, is people would, because we're not actual mammals anymore, we have the choice to be monogamous or polygamous or however kind of monogamous we want to be. No, we've been socialized. We can do what we want. Because we don't have to. I don't have to. The world, like, our species isn't going to cease if I don't procreate. So I can...
No, just so global warming.
That's really what we should be worried about. And so here's the thing. So should people be polygamous? What's the deal with thruples? Is that I
think so. Let's just talk a little bit first before we get into that about what polygamy and thruples are. So if monogamy is you are dating one person for a long period of time and you're only exclusively with them, polygamy is you're dating multiple people at once. You're in a relationship with more than one person. And like for queer people, that can mean you're in a relationship with both. Like bisexual people who may be polygamous might have a male and a female partner, or there could definitely be thruples, which is three people in a couple, or three people in a relationship where all of them are women or all of them are men.
Or mixed.
Yeah, it could be a mixed gender. It could be someone people who are identify as non-binary and people who are gender fluid. And so I feel like we're seeing a lot more people who are open to dating more than one person at a time. And I personally really like this new sort of thing. And I think it should be normalized a little bit more, because especially at my age, I'm 23, right? So I'm still trying to figure out what I want my like life to look like what I want, my long-term relationships and possibly building a family, and what that looks like for me and my happiness. And sometimes that's, getting to know more than one person at a time. And I feel like I don't really like how polygamy is frowned upon. And I think specifically in heteronormative relationships. And I think that's a socialized thing. Yeah. Like, people are socialized to believe that when you grow up, you're supposed to get married. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to have kids. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. And I think that polygamy, people in like healthy, happy, polygamous relationships, kind of completely redefine what that looks like and what happy relationships means to people. And I really like that.
I mean, I think it's super forward. Yeah, because typically when you think of polygamy, you think of like Mormons, like one guy and like 8 different wives or something like that. Like,
right. You think of sister wives.
Yeah.
Where
yeah. But I've always been on the vibe, like, if this guy and his wives are happy and they're not doing anything wrong, I don't understand why it's illegal. That befuddles my mind. Like,
the same reason why being gay is illegal in some other countries.
Valid. Because I'm like, who cares if this guy wants to? Like, first of all, I can't take care of one woman, like, let alone 4. If he wants to do it, go for it. God. And then if you look at a lot of like, if you look in history, in a lot of ancient cultures, native cultures to this land, African cultures, Spanish cultures, if you go back several hundred years, thousands of years, polygamy was very much normal. It was very much a very normal thing. So I think there's nothing really wrong with it. It's not my vibe. I think, it is societized now. Like, oh, okay. You grow up, you find your partner, you get married, you have kids. Like, boom. Yeah. But, I mean, there's definitely a lot more to it. Personally, like, not my thing. Yeah. But I think people who do it are pretty brave.
I think it's really interesting, too, that you kind of mentioned, like, ancient, pre-colonial kind of nations and groups of people who had multiple wives. And it was normalized. Mm-hmm. Like, in ancient Africa, pre-colonial, like, there were compounds where men had several different wives. And they sometimes bought their wives, or they married them out of love, or they had someone gift them a wife. Like, it wasn't unusual. But I will say one thing that you definitely didn't see is a woman with multiple husbands.
Certainly not.
So that's that. Like, have you ever... the only time I don't think I've ever seen a man with 2 husbands. Yeah. Like, it's this whole ego thing about men being like, I feel like maybe I deserve more than one woman, and women not having the power to, or not being empowered to explore that as an option. It's definitely polygamy, I think, is catered towards men and male and like male pleasure. Mm-hmm. And so
interesting twist on the polygamy. I mean, that's true. I mean, as much as I looked at polygamy as like, whatever, it's a part of history, it is very male driven. Very much so. And it's funny because sometimes, TikTok to me is like the source of whatever's hot right now is on TikTok.
TikTok is the Bible.
TikTok is like my news feed. Like, what's going on in society?
All of our references.
Like, and so I see some, I have seen some like relationships. I don't think they're married, but I've come across a couple of TikTok accounts or pages or whatever of a woman with 2 guys or something like that. I've seen rarely, but I've seen them.
Nice.
And it's like,
power to you, girl.
Power to you, girl. And it's like, okay, someone's out here trying to normalize,
I like that.
And it was interesting. I don't think I could really.
Oh,
but
hell no. I could barely deal with one girl at a time. You telling me I gotta deal with 3 different girls, or however many you got? You gotta deal with these girls. Reassuring. Girls already need, like, one girl needs about 70% of your attention, and you telling me how you gonna split your attention and your life between 2, 3, 4, 5 different girls, you are running around. You're a busy person because.
So here's the thing now, and now here's a twist. Now here's a plot twist. So for me, polygamy was okay in 1200 BC. It was perfectly normal, right? But now it's not polygamy or thruples or one woman and 2 guys or whatever, blah blah, right? So now you got kids, and now you have kids, right? People have kids. There's kids in this relationship.
Hell no.
So have you seen the new L Word that they're like rebooting on Showtime?
I heard about it, but I've not seen it.
So they have a throuple on the show, and there's kids involved. So my thing is, like, now, as much as I believe that people can do what they want, at what point is it, like, so that's the only time I'm like, because if we have kids, like, your kid's going to go to school, no one's going to think that this throuple is healthy and normal.
But when you think about that, too, that kind of, like, transitions into our non-traditional relationships. Like, growing up, you were in, like, a mixed family. Like, our dad separated from your mom, and you still had, like, you kind of had 2 separate families that merged together into one. So I feel like in a non-traditional relationship, when you have those kind of mixed families, is that not just a different form of mixed family? Is it not just like, you know, you have you got a woman who's got 2 kids, and you got a couple that's got 1.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm really vibing with this one girl. You know, we together. Now we all throuple and we got 3 kids. Like it's odd, but only because that's not what's normal in American culture. But, like, people want so badly for it to be, like, wrong.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think people do want it to be wrong. And that's an interesting dynamic. Because I never really looked at my upbringing as different. Because I thought everybody's parents broke up.
Well, apparently that might be the case. Like, I actually might be the odd one out here.
You're the oddball out.
Where my parents are still married. And actually, good point, because I don't think I know that many people whose parents are still married together and, like, actually in an active relationship. So maybe I'm the one that's weird.
I thought everybody's parents broke up and everybody's parents moved on and had more kids with the next person. I thought, like, everybody. But it was... or, you know, that's just how it was. And sometimes I'm like, you know, it could turn into that at some point, like, just to me, a divorced family was normal to me. I didn't know when I was growing up, none of my friends' moms were still with their dads. None of them. Yeah. And I was the lucky one because my dad was around. Yeah. That's what it was. It wasn't that they broke up. It was like that my dad came to the basketball games and my dad was in my life and we talked, we hung out. Like, most of the time, I felt like that's where I became the outlier. It was not that my parents broke up. It was that my father was still in my life the whole time. So that was, like, kind of that. But could, you know, with the way society's growing and the way everything's normalizing, shoot, could some kids be pretty normal? Like, oh, my parents are a throuple? But that's still pretty far.
Yeah. Honestly, though... if we have any listeners who have ever been in a throuple or know anybody in a throuple or have any sort of, like, experience with that, we'd love to hear from you guys and hear your experience. And personally, to me, power to y'all. Like, I have not been in one. I'm not sure how much my interest is in being in one, but, like, I'm definitely, like, if I've never done it, I'm down to do anything once and twice if I like it. So, like, like, I always see people, I've seen a couple, like, again, on TikTok, some couples that are successful in it. Some of them are dating all 3 of each, like, you know, they're dating each person in the relationship, and other people, there's 2 people who are dating 1 person. And, like, how I actually had a professor at college who was polygamous and who dated more than 1 woman at once, and my professor was so cool, all the swag. Was he polygamous? It was actually a lesbian woman, actually. Yeah. Okay, she was like she was like my mentor, to be honest.
So here's, I mean, before, I feel like we're almost back at square one, because I'm like, okay, so is polygamy, polygamy in my mind is one person dating or married to multiple people at the same time. That's different than dating multiple people all at once.
That's true. Dating and in a relationship, first of all, are very different.
So when I think of polygamous relationship, I think there's one person and there's several spouses.
Yeah. So
Not I'm dating a bunch of people
Is
all at once.
polygamy exclusively dating
No,
one
polygamy,
person or
no.
2 people at once?
At least for my definition, if you're dating 2 or 3 people at once, you just out here playing the field, dog.
Yeah, you
out here playing the field.
I
A
don't
polygamy-
believe that. I love dating as a tool in order to find somebody who you're looking for.
So, but that to me is more an open relationship than polygamous.
yeah,
Me,
okay.
I mean, I don't know what the definite what Webster says or anything. Whatever.
Let's look it up.
But to me, polygamy is then a relationship. Your professor sounds like someone that's in an open relationship. You're openly dating and seeing and fucking multiple people. Polygamy is I got me and 3 wives and they all know
That's
it.
true.
And we all
Google says that the definition of polygamy is the practice or custom of having more than one wife or husband. So I think that the wife or husband is very clear in the sense that you're legally bound to this person. You're married to more than one person
you
at a
might
time.
be living in
Is
the
that
same
even
house
legal?
all together.
Is
no,
that even
a lot
legal?
of states. Yeah, a lot of states is illegal. It is. A lot of,
Of course,
states
the person
it's
that
illegal.
pops up is Sister Wives.
It's sister wives because it's mostly known for religious men.
Yeah.
Mormons and Muslims and African cultures where they're allowed in their culture to have multiple wives. So
Not boo, but like not boo in the sense that that's like your culture and that's what you do. But I feel like I would love for that to be like just a blanket thing. If people want to marry and date more than one person and they communicate that with everyone, why is that still frowned upon? I feel like definitely polygamy is sometimes downplayed as people just being like, oh, you don't want to settle down, you don't want to commit to one person, so you're dating multiple people at once. And I feel like we need to kind of just throw that out the window because maybe like a lot of people who are polygamous are choosing to be that way because it is what works for them in their love and their love language and their relationships. And I feel like it's time to just dismantle this whole one partner, unless like, you know, not saying that one partner is a bad thing, but sometimes you got one partner and your partner's some shit. And sometimes, you know, you're like, maybe I love you, but you're some shit. So maybe.
I mean, look, they say there's the 80-20. Your one partner is not going to fulfill 100% of your needs. Maybe that's why polygamy works for people. You can get someone who's scrubbing not only your 20%, you probably get like 80 and 80 or like,
as much
like
as
160% now.
Are in monogamous relationships, I just know that like, you know, you get into it with your partner and sometimes you just looking for something else. You know what I'm saying? And it's not always sexual.
This is complicated.
And it's not always, it's a lot
because
to
what
unpack.
and then are the other 2 people in the relationship as well? If I get into a fight with one of the wives, do the 3 of us talk it out?
No, I think.
Do we have different
If
nights?
I was in a throuple and my other 2 mates were fighting, I would be like, I'm gonna go.
What if there's a 4th? What do you mean we're gonna go? What if they live together? This is too complicated for me.
Me and the girl who's not fighting finna be booed up. While the 2 of y'all figure it out.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, polygamy is an ancient construct. It only worked back then because no one had nothing to do but plant.
Yeah, there's no phones. There's no
anyway.
There's no social media. There's no constant contact with people. So it's like when you're in constant contact with people, how could you be in constant contact with multiple people at once? And again, no way, like not at all ragging on anybody who's in a polygamous relationship or in a throuple. Like power to you, to be honest. Like I want to learn more about it and I want to know how it works for you guys. But I can barely juggle one shawty. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm slow, but
let us know more feedback because I feel like a lot of my feedback on thruples and polygamy is from the L Word and TLC, and those might not be the most reliable sources.
TLC, definitely not. Okay, no.
Do
not watch.
Do not watch.
Do not watch Sister Wives because I'm not sure if that's an accurate representation of like successful polygamy.
So
it might be. I've never seen it.
So someone asked me once would I ever be in a polygamous relationship, and my answer is this: only if in case of an apocalypse.
I can't even say that like, that's my.
I feel like.
I might say yes off rip.
Yes off rip. I feel like because, you know, in case of an apocalypse, you're probably going to be short on partners anyway. And I would need like one wife for the crops.
So theoretically,
one wife
I can't
for
reproduce.
the kids.
So with a woman, so that puts me at a disadvantage
In the
apocalypse. Anyway, unfortunately, you're gonna need a man somewhere around to populate the population. However, that's why I said I'm not even sure if that would be my case in point. Like, if somebody asked me if I'd be in a polygamous relationship, I think I would say... Again, there's nothing I would say no to without trying. Like, nice. I feel like if I was presented with the opportunity that two amazing women liked each other and me at the same time, who am I to say no to that? Like, you know what I mean? Who am I to block my blessings? That's but funny. It, like, you know, I feel like I would try it, and if it worked, then it did. And if it didn't, then I'd be like, look, I mean, you guys are gorgeous, you're amazing. I'm not sure if this works for me. So, yeah, anybody who's been thinking about getting into a polygamous relationship or thinking that monogamy isn't for them, I would kind of say, like, play your cards, try it out if and when you can, and don't fucking worry about the societal norms to get married and have a traditional family, because I feel like us millennial and Gen Zers are kind of dismantling that anyway, as we do many things, which I really appreciate, because there's so many, just like shit, so much shit that like isn't necessary within our society that we're still holding on to, that like our generation that's so knowledgeable and exposed can kind of call bullshit on. So and I think polygamy might be one of those things. Now, if polygamy is your thing, do it. Yeah. If it's not, reach out the box. For real.
Like, everything's getting more and more open. But yeah, I mean, on that, also, if anybody's listening on Anchor, hit us your qualms right away. You can leave voice notes now.
Ooh.
I like that.
You can leave voice notes? This
if you're listening
for me.
If you're listening on Anchor, because I was about to say, anybody in these types of relationships, we want more feedback. We want to know, because we're just out here trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of questions. So that kind of leads us into our next one. Kind of.
A little bit. Transition. Switch a little bit.
But otherwise, we can talk about polygamy and thruples for the next hour and a half. I think.
Easily.
So interesting.
Easily.
So interesting.
It's, again, one of those things that's not black and white.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like, could I? I probably wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. Could I? But we'll figure that out. But one of the reasons we thought about, at least I thought about thruples.
Anyway.
And also, thruples are different from threesomes, because I would definitely try a threesome first.
Yeah, that's different.
Couples are different than threesomes.
Shit, tune in next episode.
That's a whole nother joint.
Real.
Now, threesomes different. We can talk threesomes.
The whole episode on threesomes,
thruples, you got to keep both of them around for a while. Threesomes is like, but anyway. So, we got a bunch of questions this week. We want to make sure we get to a few of them. And so, okay, so the throuple thing, I said I was watching that word, they're throuple. We got a couple of questions on that. But I got one question. It was kind of broad, but it's like, how do you know when to let go?
Oh, so, red flags, toxic relationships.
Yeah, because it was kind of, the throuple I was thinking about was fictional, and, whatever. But that one of the people was struggling on, they were at that breaking point of, do I want to try harder or do I want to let go? So in a relationship, no matter what kind it is, we were asked, pardon me, how do you know when to let go? I care about this person. Me and this person have built a lot of, she didn't get into specifics, and it's anonymous, all of our questions, but they just said they have a history together. They have all these plans for the future. Nothing specific, but something.
How do you know when to let go? That's a good question. How do you know when you're in a relationship that either you've outgrown or is a toxic environment for you? How do you know when you should move on and focus on yourself? That's such a good question. Because because it doesn't have just one singular answer.
No, I kind of think if you're thinking about it already, then now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let go now.
If you have to ask yourself,
which is why
when do I leave? Do
it
right then.
Right now.
Right then and there.
Probably. And so the question is broad. There could be all kinds of reasons as to when do I know when to let go. Like, are there kids involved? Do you have a house together? Do you have property together? Do you have a dog together? Do you live together? Is there rent? There's all kinds of stuff. I think a lot of people stay in relationships they don't want to be in because of all the paperwork.
No, definitely, for sure.
But if you're in a relationship wondering, should I let go, and your hesitation is because the paperwork is going to suck, let go, girl. It's worth the paperwork.
Yeah, and I think that it's a really good thing to note that if you're even thinking about it, there is something in that relationship that needs addressing.
You know,
like, even if you're like, okay, I don't really want to let go of this person. Me and this person have a long history. Me and this person are still in love, but we're going through a really rough patch, and we're going through a point in our relationship that feels like, you know, we're not really touching each other. We're not really like here for one another. I think if you're even thinking about that, if that thought is in your mind, then it's time to take action. Whether that's deciding to get up and leave, or deciding whether or not you think it's an important time to apply for relationship therapy, or you know, taking your relationship to the next level, or taking some space. There's a lot of things in relationships. Every relationship is different, so it's hard to come up with a singular answer in being like, you know, leave right now. Because some people aren't in the place where they can do that. You know what I mean? Mentally, physically,
financially,
location. You know, there's so many reasons why getting up and leaving may not be a thing that you can do.
Valid.
But it's important to note the red flags and even the green flags within your relationship. And just noting, are you happy majority of the time? I think that's a good question to ask, because you're talking to two people here who have been in relationships, have been in long-term relationships, short-term relationships, and, you know, are possibly in relationships right now and may want to talk about that. But
I've been in them all.
Yeah, right. So it's hard to really tell exactly when is the right time for you, but I think surrounding yourself by people who really love you unconditionally is first and foremost an important thing for you to have.
Valid. So true.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, I think by the time you're wondering, is it time? Definitely, at least at the minimum, if you're married and you really want to make it work it out, you have kids, it's definitely time to start looking for some kind of professional help or therapy. Like, if I was in a marriage and I'm like, is it time to let go, I would be looking for therapy. If you're dating and you guys are just like having cocktails at Applebee's, it's probably over.
Right. You can leave that person no regrets.
If you have a dog together in an apartment, you may need to chat this out, but there's definitely something y'all should be talking about.
Yeah.
But that's super valid too. But I mean,
yeah. Because I think for me personally, I've always been saying in a relationship that I want to prioritize my own happiness, because that's when I feel like I bring my best self to a relationship. So if I'm happy, then 9 times out of 10 my partner is going to reap the benefits of that, because they're going to have a happy partner. They're going to have somebody who's genuinely comfortable and happy with themselves. So, and then they're sharing that with you. Now, if that's not something that you feel like you can accomplish in a relationship, I mean, that's okay, but how can you, or how do we as people in relationships strive to better ourselves while also bettering our relationship? What do you think?
I think, I mean, so here's the, I mean, it sounds stereotypical, it sounds kind of cheesy when I say it, but someone can only love you as much as you love yourself.
That's true.
It sounds cheesy, but like sometimes, you know, there are issues in a relationship. Sometimes your partner's an asshole, or vice versa. You know what I mean? But like, before, you know, if you're a person that finds yourself, even me, I found myself in like headache after headache after headache. Like, maybe it's me. Maybe there's some self-reflection, some self-esteem, some self-fulfillment, some self-confidence that I need to find in myself,
right?
Because I'm so busy blaming my partner for why everything's going wrong. Now, once I started to look into myself and find things in myself that I loved and appreciated, I was like, okay, now there are things that I know I don't want out of another person.
Yes.
And not to like be like, okay, well, this person I'm with is an asshole, but it's not the person I want to be with.
Yeah.
I want something I want someone that's gonna help me build on myself and not,
Yeah.
you know, and you can't really start to figure that out until you start building on your own self anyway. So I think there's like, you know, a thin line between like looking inward and figuring out what you can solve, and also maybe you're dating an asshole. So you have to,
it could be both.
It could be both.
I mean, relationships are a two-way street, and I have some friends sometimes who like would come to me with relationship problems, and I like as the person, obviously this is my friend, so I'm not going to be like maybe this is your fault, but I'm going to be like, okay, so let's think about what you could have done in this relationship, because everything happens for a reason. It could be a reaction to something, to an action that you did, or a feeling that you had, or something like that. So again, a relationship is a two-way road.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you do have to look into yourself and think about how am I contributing to this behavior, whether it's positive or negative. So I think that's a really important thing to note. Yeah. And again, there's so many answers to this question.
Yes.
There's so much to talk about when we talk about what a successful and healthy relationship looks like. Obviously, we're not experts on relationships, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that both of us have had some experiences that have been positive and that have been negative that we've learned from.
For sure. We need more deets, guys. We'll keep them anonymous. We need more deets. We need more deets on that.
Yeah.
Like, are there kids?
Yeah.
Like, personally, like, I have a daughter. That changed things.
Everything.
You know?
That changes everything.
Everything.
Because you see, I feel like I see, especially in hetero sexual relationships, and even in homosexual relationships, like when a child is involved and you've got like baby mama, baby daddy situations and possibly drama with that, it's a whole nother layer. Because you have to think about what is best for me and my child
first. Yeah.
And it's not even just like what's best for our relationship, because now your relationship has another layer that has real serious implications and consequences when you take action. So,
for sure. And when there's kids involved, like I'm always gonna be an advocate for the kids' health. Mental, physical, and emotional health is first and foremost. Like, yeah, you got to think about that, and that's tough sometimes when you're in a relationship with someone you have a kid with. You want to make it work for the kid. But sometimes being in a relationship with someone is worse. So there's things to work out. I was curious about that when I got that question. Like, man, if the kids involved, the whole answer switches. And people with pets, bro. I'm not comparing kids to pets. So I would like to make that disclaimer.
I just rolled my eyes, by the way.
Like, I've had people be like, but we have a cat together. I've seen people in relationships. And, like, you're with this person because you have a dog together. There's nothing.
Dude, if y'all don't give that dog weekends and holidays and keep it pushing, like,
if
your dog will be okay.
Do not see that nigga on the weekends.
Your dog will be all right.
I have been talking to some people and been like, if you don't leave that motherfucker, but the dog. Kids are one thing. I have a lot more sympathy for someone with kids than I do with dogs, unfortunately. Yeah. And I love animals.
As a child, a human being.
Yeah, I love animals, but it's funny. I've seen a lot of people stay in relationships over a cat.
There's a lot of cats in the sea, people. All right. No.
Yeah, if you're wondering, it's probably, I don't want to be pessimistic, but if you're already wondering, you should certainly be looking for help.
Here's kind of the way I've gone about dating. And as a young person, I'm 23, so I have a lot of time, I guess, to find my person or my soulmate in that sense. But I've always thought that if there are no strings attached, in the sense that like maybe being in a relationship with someone, obviously things get like, you have somebody else to worry about. But if you're not married, have kids, or have property, or legally bound to one another, I think you should always think about bettering yourself first. Because once you are fixing to be a better person and you are working on yourself, it translates in so many different parts of your life that you can bring your best self to a relationship. That's and awesome. You know yourself and what you need and what you want, and you know if the person who you're with is willing to work with you or is on your same wavelength, your same level. And so I think putting yourself first and this is obviously, I'm talking about people without kids, because, I mean, once you have a kid, like, your kid is a main priority in your life. Like, it's you and your kid. So it's like, if you can be selfish, I think it's a great time to do it right now when you're young and not legally bound to another person, is to be selfish and really grow yourself, because then that way you can give your whole honest self to a person. So honestly, that's my final say on that question. When do you know when to let go? Is when you know yourself the best that you can.
Valid.
So, yeah.
Valid. So you used a word that made me think, and I won't get us too far off. Soulmate. Do you believe in
soulmates? I do, but I don't think I believe in soulmates in the same way that most people believe in soulmates. I think soulmates can be both platonic and romantic. Like, I think that I have a platonic soulmate. I think that I have someone who me and this person connect on a deeper level than what people understand. And I think that when you have someone who fully knows you as a person, it doesn't matter who they are. Nice. It doesn't matter who they are. Like, I think soulmate, and I think just all these labels that we attach to all these things, which is something that we've talked about within our first couple episodes, is how unnecessary labels are in general, and how, like, they kind of put us in a box of how we feel our relationships are. So, yeah, I think it's definitely, I think soulmates are real, but I don't think they necessarily have to be your end all be all. You know what I mean? Interesting.
Leave that one. That feels like a segment to me. If you guys are listening on Anchor, leave us a voice note, DM us right now. Do you have a soulmate? Do you believe in the twin flame? I'm curious about that. I don't really. I have a whole, but that's a whole nother. I was dating a girl once, and she was like, I feel like we're twin flames. And I fired her out the sky.
Anyway.
No fucking way. Nice fucking try.
You're a hookup. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we definitely have another question.
Last
this
one kind of the week.
No, we've got crazy exes. Or dating experiences.
Let me go
so I think people have somebody DM'd us and asked us a question about our worst or best dating experience, and I thought that was a really interesting question. So Sarge, what is your worst or best dating experience?
I've had a lot of good ones. So I'm gonna give a shout out to the good dates I've been on. Yeah. Most of them recently.
Okay. Beautiful.
With my current
I found a good
vibe. We have been going well. But I've been on some bad ones. I've been on some bad
Tell me
dates.
like a bad date story.
Okay, I've got like 3 off the top of my head. I've been on some bad ones. Okay. Especially when I was young. There was the first time I met this girl, and she was a server at a restaurant I was at, and she invited me, like, oh, come by, we'll have some drinks at my house, we'll sit and we'll chat. I got over there, and she had 3 kids. And one of them was a teenager, and 2 of them were young. So when I walked in the house, it was like,
is this the babysitter?
Oh my god. And like the teenager came by with her boyfriend, and like they had like a cat, and like the youngest one was
no
like,
shame to anyone with kids, but please let me know.
Let me know before I come over
and I see 5 kids.
I got no problem with dating a woman with kids, and you can have them. I just didn't think they was gonna be on our very first date. Like, I don't even know if that counts as a date, coming over for drinks.
Kind of. I would say that.
I mean, we talked, we met, we exchanged numbers, and we said, let's meet and hang out and have drinks. And she goes, come by my house. I'm thinking, this was before Netflix and chill was This was before, I'm giving my age again. This is before we even had Netflix and chill. And it was definitely like, and then like I remember she had like a really younger kid, and they had a kitten, like a cat they had just bought. And, like, the kid was, like, playing with the cat. You walked
into a house with 8 people in that job.
And, like, the kid was, like, I'm like, this kid's gonna kill this fucking cat. I'm like, what? You know how little kids are, like, rough?
Yes.
This little kitten, he was, like, throwing it and, like, pulling it by his paws. I was like, so I stayed for, like, 15 minutes. I was like, I've gotta go. That was pretty bad. I went on another date where I was like doing jujitsu and I was like super broke at the time, and I was like, "Look, girl, I really like you." I was pulling my best Mac on. Like, woo, woo, woo.
I don't got no money, but
I said, cool. "Look, but yo, you know what I'm saying? Applebee's got like that 2 for $20 joint, you know."
Applebee's has an amazing happy hour.
And so I kept it real with her, like, "Yo, I gotta go Dutch. You know, I'm struggling."
You don't want to split or
you know. So we got there. We had a good time. We was having, and I'm thinking, boom, we're going Dutch. So I ordered like, you know, a little 2 for $20 joint. You know, like, you know, I get the $5 happy hour drink. You know, I kept it tight. We get there at the end. We already agreed to go Dutch. She was like, "Oh, I forgot my wallet."
Scam. Red flag.
When I tell you that,
Red flag.
When I tell you that dinner literally took my account down to like $3.
You got to dine and dash. At that point, you got to be like, "Are you down? You forgot your wallet?"
I definitely took.
Are you down?
I definitely was like, and then was mad that it wasn't good that night. Like, come on, after all of that. Furious though. I was furious at this girl. Like, I told you what it was. I kept it real with you. Like, you know. So that one was pretty bad. I've had some bad ones, but most of them not like bad enough to like truly traumatize me, but enough to be like annoying and like, what the fuck.
Yeah. I feel like I've had more good experiences than bad, personally. I've had some, like, awkward dates where it was, like, me and the person didn't match, or we just had different interests, or, like, morals and stuff like that. So, I've never had any, like, traumatizing date experiences, but I'll quickly tell my story about, like, my best dating experiences. Okay. I feel like, one of my best dating experiences has been with someone who I had dated before, and we ended up dating again. And the first time we dated, it was rather casual. You know, we dated for about like 6 months, and we were both in college, so it was kind of like we were working with our college schedules, and we were all right, but we kind of just ended up breaking up due to like external things. Like, I was graduating, and I kind of needed to focus on myself, so we ended up reconnecting. And just what I feel like I've learned from all of my dating experiences is that I appreciate someone who is, one, good at communicating what they want in a relationship, and two, is open to hearing and viewing how I feel about relationships. Because I feel like I don't really have a normal, quote unquote, normal view of relationships. Like, I'm not the type to think, like, I don't believe in the talking stage, really. Like, to me, talking is what we're doing right now, having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So if I've talked to you before, I'll say, yeah, me and her talked. Like, we had a conversation. And so in my mind, dating means going out, going on dates, like seeing if you like someone and kind of like making a connection, and then being in a relationship is a step further beyond that. And I feel like so many people place a lot of value on talking these days, like the talking stage, that like the whole dating thing gets muddled or whatever. So yeah,
agreed. Because I'm like, are we talking? Are we dating?
Right. And so I just kind of don't even want to deal with any of that. So I feel like I expressed what I was looking for in a relationship, and she was very open to not only accommodating that, but also being like, this is what I want, and this is how we move towards that. And I really appreciated that in the sense of just like being able to mold something that's not what society's standard of a normal relationship is. And I like that because, you know, everyone's so gung-ho about, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to fit into this box, we have to get married by 30, I have to have a kid by this point, where I'm like, I just want to go with the flow. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to build what we have, and is what we have should be special, should be just for us. And that's different for every person. Every relationship that you're with is different, or person that you're with in a relationship is different. So I like being able to mold and build with that. But yeah, I think that's one of my best relationship advice. Oh.
Best dating experiences.
Yeah.
You didn't even tell me about, that sounds like the best relationship experience. You didn't even.
We were dating. Dating long term. But We've been dating.
I thought she was gonna tell me about the
like
best dates you went on in your life.
Man, I ain't even been on that many like dates.
Has anyone taken you out to dinner? I had someone
and paid.
Yeah. So look,
the girl who I'm talking about, but that's about it.
You know how rare it is. Listen, femmes, if you take a stud out on a date and you pick up the tab, that shit is hot.
You're gonna blush. I'm blushing like shit.
The first time a femme, like the girl I'm thinking out, took me out on a date, like a legitimate date, I was like, oh,
and paid. Like if you take like,
oh wow,
if you are taking someone. If you're interested in a stud and you want to show that you're interested, that's a great way. Be like, you do how you want them to do. I'll pick you up at 7. Be ready. Mm-hmm. Have the date. Have the reservations planned.
It was a surprise. I didn't even know where we was
drinks. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. I got the tab, baby. Don't worry. Like you're definitely. It was so nice. Yeah. Like I feel like we don't get dined and. Like, we don't get wined and dined a whole lot, and I feel like we really appreciate it as more masculine presenting women, definitely. Yeah.
And I think I lean towards being the chivalrous one. Anyways, I'm always quick to reach for the check when it comes. Blah, blah. Anyway,
I would say the same thing.
But, yeah, that experience to have someone be like, look, I want to surprise you. You'll enjoy it. Just dress nice. You'll find out when we get there. We went out to dinner. It wasn't anything extravagant. But I was sitting there and I was out and I was eating the food and I was like, bruh, is this the first time someone's taking me on a
You
date?
care about me? That's ugly. No, I will say that one of some of my like worst date experiences, like we had a really good time on the date, but like the check would come and I was dating someone who I knew made significantly more money than I did. I just knew that was the case. Like I know I'm like,
no doubt about this.
You know, I'm 21 years old. I'm dating someone who's established, you know, who's got it like that. And the check still comes and you still staring at me like I'm supposed to pay for this when you make double the amount of money I do monthly.
Like, girl.
So it's like, come on now, like. So that was something that kind of turned me off. I was like, okay, so
like just because I'm mass presenting,
right? I'm supposed to take the check. No.
I think that's another question too. You ever seen people ask that question like, men who pick up these big giant tabs? Is that or studs who pick up these big giant tabs?
Right?
Are you obligated?
If you take your girl and all her friends out to dinner, this is a question for the listeners, y'all. If y'all are out to dinner and you and your girl's friends out to dinner, you pick up that whole tab. You and 5 of her friends out. They looking at you to take the tab. What do you do, man?
Somebody's taking one for the team.
You taking an L. I would very much be like, all right, we'll split that 5 ways.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll split it 4. I'll take me and my girl, and then the rest of y'all.
The rest of y'all on y'all.
The rest of y'all, you on your own. Like I'm not dating your friends.
Yeah, it would have to be such a very specific situation for it to be.
You better call Tyrone.
Very specific. Very specific. All right, last one. Where's our last question here?
Oh, I think it's about time for qualm of the week.
Week. We do like a little
qualm of the
jingle.
Week. Okay, so this is my qualm of relationships, and I feel very strongly about this. My qualm is people who cheat. I feel very strongly about why do you cheat? And cheaters, feel free to leave us some comments.
Anonymous. I don't think they would.
We will not rag you. We won't drag you through the dust or the dirt on
people
this.
Who cheat. So I'm assuming you've never cheated?
Like, not really.
I hate people who cheat, says cheater.
What is cheating, though? Like, for real.
Okay, good point.
No.
So, all right, cheating is if you're in a relationship and you purposefully defy the rules that you and your partner set forth, the boundaries that you and your partner set forth. You purposefully,
more than once,
the first time. Purposefully defy those boundaries on purpose, knowing that you weren't supposed to do it. That's cheating. No matter what those boundaries are. If your partner says, I don't want you blinking at a bitch, and you blink at a bitch. Now, if your partner says you don't want you blinking at a bitch, that could be her problem. But if you and your partner are like kissing is cheating and you kiss someone else, that's cheating. If you and your partner say
flirting
flirting is cheating,
No,
and
it's
you know
flirting,
it,
really cheating.
then that's cheating.
Yeah.
So that's people who cheat.
So I think, again, this is such a topic that has a lot of gray area in the sense that a lot of people don't define boundaries within their relationship. So they end up being jealous over some shit, like you and your partner at the club and your partner's talking to another girl and you're like, that's cheating. Like, if you never express that you're uncomfortable with that, how is your partner supposed to know that that is a quote unquote cheating action? Like, how do you know? So so in my mind, here's what I think cheating is. If you're in an exclusive relationship and you step outside of that, whether it is you're entertaining another bitch, you're fucking somebody else, you're flirting with someone regularly, because I'm like, if you're at a bar and somebody comes up to you and you flirt enough to get a drink, in my personal opinion, if I'm with somebody and they get a free drink, I'm like, secure the bag. We both got a drink. Go off. Like, I'm totally there to support that. But if somebody doesn't feel like that, I completely understand that also. But like, you know, in my mind, the definition of cheating is stepping outside of the boundaries that you've created. And if you're exclusive with somebody, you're not respecting those boundaries in those relationships. So in my mind, I'm like, why do you cheat? Like, what about cheating calls to you? Because here's what I say. I've never cheated, but I was in a relationship with someone in college who I really liked. Mind you, it wasn't the best relationship, but you know, sometimes you're blinded by, you know, like, or whatever. You really like someone. You're blinded by love or whatever feeling it is that you think you're feeling at the time. And like, we broke up. She broke up with me, by the way, and broke up with me in maybe 48 hours later. You know, I'm drunk, I'm sad, I'm hooking up with someone else. Was it the best decision for me to make? No. But was I cheating? No. Like, you broke up with me, so I was finding like comfort in other places, which again wasn't a great decision for me to make, but I did. And so, like, but I felt that, like, I felt my heart rip out of my chest when I had to confess that I was like, yeah, so this happened, like, so how, like, in my mind, I guess my question is why? What are the benefits of stepping outside of your relationship? Because maybe I want to know. Maybe I want to.
I wanted to cheat. I've tried to cheat. I've never been successful. I can't really say why. I know when I was in the point where I wanted to cheat on the motherfuckers because I didn't want to be with that person anymore. For me, I was like, and it just was. I felt like I felt like I couldn't get out of the relationship. Yeah. So, and I felt like I was stuck in the relationship. So I was like, all right, well, I might as well find somebody to scratch my itch on the side. As far as like, no, like someone to either listen to me a certain kind of way, or someone who talked to me a certain kind of nice, or who slept with, you know, I wanted to see what else is out there too. But I wasn't a very good cheater.
I'm not mad.
I got caught before I got off the ground most times. I got caught at the DMs.
You didn't even get to link.
I always got caught in the DMs.
You know what? That's probably better for you.
So I'll never know. I think as a person, I'm not much of a cheater anyway. Mostly because I don't got the time or the energy. Yeah. And two, when I'm in a relationship, like, look, this is my woman, this is how I'm with. I'm not trying to be doing all of that. I don't have time.
Definitely.
But that's interesting. I think people cheat for a variety of reasons. It has to be, I think one that probably has to do, I mean, there's probably some ego involved. Mm-hmm. There's got to be something with the relationship that's off. There's got to be just some pure spread the seed involved. There's gotta be some.
It's the mammal instinct.
Yes, it's all kinds of shit. I think.
All right.
I am actually surprised.
Last question. I have one that just kind of popped into my head. Who? Obviously, this is based on stereotype, and you know what types of lesbians. You know, what do you think? Who is more likely to cheat, a stud or a femme?
Okay. Statistically. Okay, stereotypically a stud.
Yeah.
Do we have stats on that?
I'm gonna try.
I said statistically like I really knew. But okay, so I would think stereotypically a stud, but I think that's a lie. I think that's a farce. I think femmes are really leading the charge out here. I just think studs think a little bit like niggas sometimes, and we get a little bit,
But studs are sensitive too. Studs are sensitive.
I think femmes get around and they just a little bit slicker at it, and we don't even know. I think
girls are so 100 times better at lying in general. So that comes to an advantage and a disadvantage as a woman-loving woman, as somebody who's in a relationship with a woman, because you're like, I want to believe you, but you're probably so good at lying. Yeah. But I think also cheating comes from a sense of like, it's a sense of ego, but sometimes it's a sense of insecurity. I think you're not comfortable with yourself or who you are in your relationship, and so you feel like necessary to step outside of that. And I think my biggest qualm is, again, it comes down to communicating your wants and needs. Like, I don't ever see a justifiable reason to cheating when you can just express how you feel in a certain situation. You can break up with this person, and that is obviously way easier said than done. Oh, yeah. But like, I personally feel like the consequences of cheating on someone is way higher than it is to have the conversation about what you need in a relationship and what is happening in this relationship that you feel like you need to step outside of it. Yeah. And I feel like people benefit way more from expressing that than they do stepping outside of what they have created for themselves. So, I mean, if you have cheated before, I mean, you're not alone. The reason we're talking about this is because it is something that happens not only within heterosexual relationships, but within same-sex relationships too. Like, I mean, people be cheating, and like, I'm not saying like I'm part of the support group, but like, there are obviously reasons that you feel like you need to step outside of it. It's definitely some
kind of reason. And people on the reverse side, like, I to my knowledge, I've never been cheated on.
Oh, right. That's a good question. I've never been cheated on. I could say that.
You know, I love to tell it, like, leave that cheating bitch, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is.
You know, if you find yourself like getting cheated on left and right, you might want to look inside, girl. Look inside yourself.
And look around you too, and realize that, like, you may have a support system that is bigger than what you think it is, and that you don't have to stay with this person because you feel like, you feel like they're all that you have. So I would say, like, if you're experiencing cheating within your relationship, there's so many resources and so many people who you can look for support and for help. Yeah. And to even, like, if you decide to stay in that relationship, there's so many resources that you can use to better your relationship and you can use to get out of your relationship. So every person's relationship is unique. Right. And we're not here to judge anybody on their decisions within their relationship. We're just here to talk about our own experiences. So, with that being said, you're not gonna find me cheating. Simply because I'm horrible at responding to text messages. If people who know me know that I don't even have the time to be cheating, I'll be out here fucking, I don't know, at work, at the gym, training. So we
don't cheat on this podcast. Yeah, at least not.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. First of all, we'd like to say thank you guys for submitting your questions. We had so much fun answering these questions, and a lot of these questions had a bunch of different layers to them and a lot of things that we're probably going to touch on further episodes. So we appreciate it, and we really hope that you guys keep engaging, keep listening, like and subscribe to our website. That's queersandqualms.com. And thank you guys so much for listening. We hope to see you all next episode.
Like, follow, subscribe. See you guys.
Peace out, y'all.
She done told her how you came in. Whoa, they just talk to her hot like I'm easy. Hot boy, and say what you want, what's needed. I didn't want to make sure you niggas know I'm up cold no more. I'm not needed. I don't keep life like my soul. I know I need it.
Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 3 of Queers and Qualms. We really appreciate your support. Please Follow us on Instagram at Queers and Qualms. Like we said before, subscribe to our website at queersandqualms.com. This episode is brought to you by Hot Heat Sneakers, a Maryland DMV black-owned sneaker sales shop. Got the best Jordans, Yeezys, any hot heat that you need. You can follow them on Instagram at Hot Heat Sneakers.
And we are also sponsored this week by Dirty Jersey Smoke Shop. All your best cannabis needs, anything from pipes, tobacco, CBD, medical, accessories, everything you need at Dirty Jersey locations throughout New Jersey. Follow them at Dirty Jersey, that's JERZ, Dirty Jersey at Instagram and dirtyjersey.com.
And our music this episode and every episode is brought to you by Chibuguzo, a local Maryland, Prince George's County alternative rock and R&B group. You can follow them at Chibuguzo301 on all platforms. That's at CHIBUGUZO301. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate the follows.
And don't forget to email us at queersandqualms@gmail.com. DM us for your qualms, quips, and queers. Have a great week, guys.
No more, okay. I don't want to see you every day, 2 times in a day. I don't want to put it on the plate. Station, I'll play around PlayStation. I just have a long vacation. I like going on places. I don't want to say she right.